Some people spend their entire lives trying to be heard, and then one day, they discover peace in silence. At 78 years old, I've learned something I never expected when I was younger. The less I talk to people, the happier I become. Now, before you misunderstand me, this is not about hating people. It's not about bitterness, loneliness, or giving up on life. It's about protecting something precious. Your peace. When I was younger, I believed happiness came from being surrounded by people all the time. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, family gatherings, endless conversations. I thought staying constantly connected meant living a full life. But age has a strange way of revealing the truth. And the truth is, not every conversation nourishes the soul. Some conversations drain you. Some relationships quietly exhaust you. Some people leave you feeling smaller every time you speak. And after enough years, you begin to notice something important. Silence can heal what noise cannot. I remember a man named Walter. He was 82 years old and lived 2 houses down from me. Years ago, he used to spend every afternoon at the local diner, talking with anyone who would listen. Politics, weather, sports, complaints about the neighborhood. Every day was the same. But one afternoon, he stopped going. Months later, I asked him why. He smiled and said something I never forgot. Most people aren't listening. They're only waiting for their turn to talk. That sentence stayed with me, because the older you get, the more you realize how rare genuine connection truly is. And once you discover that, you stop wasting energy trying to explain yourself to everyone. You begin choosing peace over performance. There comes a point in life when you no longer feel the need to defend every opinion. You stop arguing. You stop correcting people. You stop trying to convince those who have already decided not to understand you. And honestly, that freedom feels wonderful. When I was in my 50s, I felt obligated to respond to everything. If someone criticized me, I reacted. If someone misunderstood me, I explained myself endlessly. If family drama started, I got pulled into it immediately. But now, I've learned that not every invitation deserves a response. Sometimes silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. A woman named Margaret once told me that her blood pressure improved dramatically after she stopped participating in family arguments. She laughed while saying it, but there was truth behind her smile. For years, every phone call from her relatives became stress, complaints, gossip, demands, emotional exhaustion. Then one day she simply decided, I no longer have the energy for unnecessary chaos. She still loved her family. She still cared deeply, but she stopped allowing every emotional storm into her heart. And for the first time in years, she felt calm. Many older adults discover this quietly. The less noise they allow into their lives, the lighter they feel. Another thing people rarely admit is this. As you age, your tolerance for superficial conversation becomes very small. You no longer enjoy pretending. You no longer enjoy fake politeness. You no longer enjoy spending hours discussing things that don't truly matter. And that's not arrogance. It's clarity. Time becomes more valuable when you realize you have less of it ahead of you than behind you. At 25, wasting an afternoon feels harmless. At 78, every peaceful day feels sacred. I once knew a retired school teacher named Eleanor. She used to attend every social gathering in town because she feared becoming isolated. But over time, she noticed something strange. She often came home feeling lonelier after being around certain people. One evening, she stayed home instead. She made tea, sat quietly by the window, and listened to the rain. Later, she said, that was the happiest evening I'd had in months. Why? Because solitude is not always loneliness. Sometimes solitude is recovery. There's a big difference. Loneliness hurts because it feels like emptiness. But healthy solitude feels full of calm, full of reflection, full of emotional rest. Many older people finally discover themselves only after the world becomes quiet enough to hear their own thoughts. And maybe that is one of life's greatest hidden gifts. 4 decades. Many people spend their lives performing roles: employee, parent, provider, caregiver, neighbor, problem solver. They spend so much time responding to everyone else's needs that they forget who they are underneath all the noise. Then retirement arrives. The children grow older. The house becomes quieter. At first, the silence feels uncomfortable. But eventually, something beautiful happens. You begin meeting yourself again. You rediscover old hobbies, old memories, old dreams. You notice birdsong in the morning. You enjoy slow walks. You savor peaceful routines. And suddenly, happiness no longer depends on constant social approval. It comes from inner stability. Of course, this doesn't mean shutting the world out completely. Human connection still matters deeply, but the quality of relationships becomes far more important than the quantity. One sincere conversation is worth more than 10 exhausting ones. One honest friend matters more than a room full of shallow acquaintances. At this stage of life, many people become very selective with their energy. And honestly, that's healthy. A quiet afternoon with someone who truly understands you can feel more meaningful than an entire week of forced social activity. I think many people secretly feel guilty for wanting more peace and less conversation, but they shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with protecting your emotional well-being. There's nothing wrong with needing quiet. The modern world constantly pressures people to stay connected every second. Phone calls, messages, social media, endless opinions, endless noise. But the human spirit was not designed to carry unlimited emotional clutter. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is step back from the noise and return to yourself. And maybe that's why so many older people seem calmer once they stop trying to please everyone. They finally understand something younger people often miss. Peace is more valuable than attention. At 78, I don't need to prove my intelligence in every conversation. I don't need to win arguments. I don't need everyone to agree with me. I simply want peace in my heart. And strangely enough, the less I speak, the more peace I find. Not because I stopped loving people, but because I finally learned how to love myself enough to protect my energy. So if you've been feeling more withdrawn lately, if you've started craving quiet more than crowds, if endless conversations leave you tired instead of fulfilled, maybe nothing is wrong with you at all. Maybe you are simply becoming wiser. Maybe your soul is asking for rest. And maybe happiness was never hidden in constant noise to begin with. Maybe it was waiting quietly inside the silence all along. If this message spoke to your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you also found more peace and solitude as you've grown older? And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need these words today. Take care of yourself, and treasure your peace.